Welcome, everybody, to podcast number 266. Do you want a secret to scaling excellence? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Well, welcome, everybody. I hope you're doing well. And actually, I was thinking about it. I hope you're noticing where you're not doing well. And that goes for me. That goes for all of us. I hope that, and I'm not talking about that negative voice inside our head that tells us when we're not doing well and it's not real, where we're just kind of being down on ourselves. I hope we realize the progress that we can make and that we see the gap and that we're motivated to head in a better direction. And so that kind of ties into one quick thing that I want to open with tonight. And that is that, superintendents, sometimes we're just not, and I'm a career superintendent, right? So sometimes in construction, we're just not taking care of ourselves. We're kind of hurting ourselves with the stubbornness and the lack of desire to learn and the I've been doing this way for 40 years, syndrome, and the I can't learn anything else, and why do I need this? And, I know better than everybody else kind of a syndrome, right? And I think that I'm pretty sure that the key to eternal progress, growth, and heading in a direction of striving for perfection and continuous improvement is the key concept of noticing, or at least being humble enough to know that there's a gap in our learning, and that we always want to head to higher levels of achievement and knowledge and improvement. And I heard somebody say something yesterday, which was, hey, the last day on this earth, I'm still going to be learning. And I hope that every person in construction, until the last day of their lives, I hope that they're constantly learning, still reading books, improving, admitting that they're wrong, realizing that there are higher levels of existence, and that we never, ever, ever arrive anywhere. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I can't think of a worse concept than the concept of tenure. I heard of, and I am not an expert at it, but you hear of tenured professors, tenured teachers, everyone think about this really quickly. So a tenured teacher, if you're going to teach somebody, you better constantly be learning. You can't be in a situation where you don't have to earn your paycheck every day, right? There's just no such thing. There's no such thing as a tenured superintendent, a tenured project manager, a tenured anybody. We need to go to work every day and earn our paychecks and step up and be constantly learning. And so I say that because when I go around the country and somebody has difficulty, they won't buy in, they're not heading where they want to go, and they're just really having a hard time getting past themselves, it's usually because they think they've arrived. They've gathered their self-importance from thinking that they know something and wanting to stay there and getting credit for it, versus continuous improvement and always learning. And so that might seem like a rant. It's not. I'm just saying that I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that all of us, and I hope that you are noticing where you're not doing well and closing that gap, and knowing where you are doing well but could get better. And so tonight, or actually this morning, I'm so used to doing them at night, but this morning I'm going to talk about a concept of anchor projects. And this podcast is about implementing a key piece in your scaling efforts that will help you to scale in an upward direction throughout the company. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. A couple of things that I want to mention here. These aren't big enough topics to have their own podcast, but I definitely want to mention them. So somebody taught me the other day, there's a difference between craft production and a production control system. And I won't go into this in too much detail, but craft production, in the old days is where we stick build things. There are craftsmen and women that are able to build really beautiful things out of raw materials. and you're basically stick building things. And in construction, there's still a lot of stick building, meaning we're going to bring raw materials to a project site and craftsmen and women are going to put things together. Now that we don't have a lot of skilled craftsmen and women in the industry, because of the economic downturn, in 2007 and 2008, and because people for decades have been heading in a college direction and away from construction, and because we have new generations of people, and because there hasn't been enough training, and because there's too much construction, alongside or as compared to the amount of people that are available, craft production in the field, stick build, isn't going to serve us very well. What we need is a production control system. What are we going to do as a team, as a group, as an industry to start producing just like a car manufacturer would, and in some cases with some automation? What are we going to do to start producing work in a prefabricated manner whenever we can, with consistent results as a part of a system, and not just trust individual craftsmen and women to produce things on a stick-built level? And I wanted to share that information, that's really a beautiful concept when it comes to providing a solution of where we could go. One other thing before I get into the podcast is there's something called the getting started syndrome. And all it is waste. For instance, if an owner says, hey, I want this project started. Can you get started on building my pool tomorrow? Can you get started on clearing and grading this project tomorrow? Can you, get started over here next week, even though the materials won't be here for 2 months? This getting started syndrome, all it does is increase work in progress on our project sites. It hurts us, and it creates waste, and it increases the costs of things. So I'll give you for instance, if an owner comes out and says, hey, get started next week, but you won't have submittals to start foundations in 2 or 3 months, why are we going to go clear and grub a site and have to do erosion and dust control for that thing, and put supervision and security out there, and do a number of these things which will increase the cost by at least $5,000 a month, if not $15,000, $25,000, $30,000 a month for the time that we're waiting for procured materials? This getting started syndrome is really difficult. What we should be doing is bringing work to the customer when it's able to be made per customer demand. Not, hey, let's have a 2 or 3 month gap and then go build it according to material procurement and deliver it. When industries like in Phoenix, I've told you the example about pools. Somebody will come start the pool, excavate the backyard, get started on it, but because they have 14 other pools in progress, they'll have a 2 or 3 week gap or a month gap or whatever, and then come back, and then a gap and come back. And it's going to take 8 to 9 months. Like literally, it takes 8 to 9 months sometimes in Phoenix to build a pool, because they have so many in progress, because they're responding to customers that want things started, not realizing that if they allowed the contractor, if the contractor was disciplined enough to finish 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 pools at a time in one piece flow, that they could get their pool in 6 months versus 8. And so we have to be very careful about this getting started syndrome. All right, let's get going. So what am I excited about in life? I'm excited about digging into the concept of flow. I'm finding that even in the simplest projects, meaning let's say you have the simplest interior renovation, or the most basic site work package, or the most fundamental core and shell building, whatever we're thinking about, you can really dive into the concept of flow. And even with simple structures, simple scopes of work, really dive into this concept and make more and more money and increase flow and really have fun with it. So I'm excited about, in any area of construction, increasing flow. Let's talk about fans and feedback. Hey, Jason, been listening to a lot of your podcasts over the last month or so. Picked up both of your books and I'm about to dig in. Lots of good stuff in your podcast. I do value many of the principles you are discussing and promoting. I appreciate the mass mentoring you are putting into the industry. I actually started this message to ask you to offer some career coaching, and am now seeing in your profile that you do offer this. I've actually been pondering the value of this service in my life for the last 6 or so months and would be interested in this investment. Can you share some of the details of this program? Anyway, really appreciate that feedback. I love it. So I responded to this person, but I appreciate the feedback. So here's some conflict. You could be sending your best people to your best projects and elevating the rest. So I'll tell you that in the companies that I've worked with and around, there's more scaling, and usually it's through emails, videos, pictures, and having people walk that project, and even rumors. When you have a great project at a company and they do excellent things, it becomes a standard of excellence, and it becomes kind of a competition. And so there's a principle here. When we're scaling in a company, there are a number of things that we really need to implement in order to take that as far as we can. So let me give you a couple of them. So first of all, you need your key influencers in your company advocating excellence and heading in the same direction. You need remarkable training and boot camps. You have to reach the minds and the hearts and the culture of the people that are in the company in order to make change. And it's hard to scale anything if the people in your company can't see what excellence looks like. And so what I'm saying is, let's set up what I call anchor projects. And I'm saying that the reason I call them anchor projects is because we're anchoring them to the standards of excellence. And so there are some times where we want to even things out. And I'm not saying that's inherently evil, but we want to even things out. And we're like, okay, can this really good PM and super go to this really difficult project, or go recover over here, and we kind of even things out. We put our less good people on our best and easiest projects. We put our best people on our difficult and our less good projects, right? We're evening everything out. But I'm saying, at least in one case, I'm saying you should take your best project with your best owner, with your best contract, with your best trade partners, with all the best stuff, and really put your best people, your best team, your most compatible team with your best budgets on a project and say, okay, you did great last time. You implemented IPD, you implemented Lean. I want you to take it to the next level, and then the next level, and the next level, and have a project that can anchor the company and the entire culture to where you want to go. And when people can tour that, and then I would tour people through that project every week, every other week, every month, whatever the case may be, and really get them to see and get a little bit of competition going. Now, some people are going to get jealous, and some people aren't going to like the fact that you have an anchor project. However, it is going to scale excellence because, like I said, you need all of these things. You need influencers, you need training and boot camps. You need to scale the information to where they intellectually know what to do, where they're motivated to do it and they have the leverage there, and where the culture of the organization, the common beliefs and the actions of the organization support it, and you've cleared the path, and all human systems really make it easy for them. And then the final piece is they have to be able to see. And so if you're like, I want lean projects, do you have a project they can go see? You want an IPD environment. Do you have a project they can go see? You have a place where they've implemented TACT and Last Planner. Do you have a place that they can go see? And so you get my point. Our current condition is, in projects, we're attempting to scale in environments where they can't see what you're talking about, and it doesn't exist. Where somebody said, well, let me go see what you're talking about. Well, we don't have it up and running yet. We just see that in concept. That's going to be very, very difficult to scale. So my challenge is, in this short podcast, and I appreciate you being patient with me, my challenge here is, let's get some anchor projects. Let's right now, today, go back to the office or wherever you're going to go and strategically think, how can I get my best people, my best team into the best circumstances with one of the best challenges, and get them performing at a high level, so that I can show visually and audibly and kinesthetically by touring people through it everyone else in the company what we expect. And then that's when your scaling efforts are really going to take off. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.